Welcome to the Building Texas Show, where we find the leaders behind the businesses and organizations driving progress in Texas. In each episode, we share the stories of innovators, entrepreneurs, and leaders committed to evolving Texas into its next era. I'm your host, Justin McKenzie, your guide to help you think about how to engage in the movement and support building Texas across the entire state. Founded by German freethinkers determined to find freedom from dictatorial monarchies and clerics, Comfort, Texas remains an unincorporated census-designated area today. To that end, Comfort residents and businesses historically relied on community support and a spirit of the possible to be successful. To this day, Comfort is a place where people gather, they celebrate, and tap into the essence of the earliest settlers of the Texas Hill Country. Comfort is known in the region for its annual Christmas in Comfort celebration and is an ideal spot for tourists and weekend travelers wanting to experience the magic of the Texas Hill Country without the crowds. Welcome back to the Building Texas Show. We have an exciting episode ahead, and we're going to talk to Karen Ingram as we continue our conversations about Comfort, Texas, what makes Comfort special, and why people should come visit Comfort in the year ahead. And I want to emphasize the year ahead. Oftentimes we talk about events, come to an event, come to this, come to that. But I want people to come out here on a Thursday, right, and really get to experience the community. And it's a quiet community. You can come out here and really have a great time without a crowd. Correct. But we need enough of those people coming consistently. Yes. And weekdays, I'm gonna highlight weekdays or where there's a need. Weekends too, but you have a property here, Riven Rock Ranch. Sir. That really does serve as a magnet. It attracts people to the area. I think it's also enjoyed by local people. So that's the best of both worlds. You can have a collision at this beautiful property, and we'll get into what that is, where you get a mix of the local community going in and using it, and then the tourists that find it. And I want to make sure they don't stumble to it. I want to make sure they know where to go, and they've made plans, because like all towns, and you gotta look at the timing. When are you gonna be here? What time's the right time? Right. And call ahead. We were talking about Comfort Pizza earlier in some of our conversations, and sometimes you have to call ahead to make sure that they have the pizza that they need. I think that's probably true of your Riven Rock Ranch and the restaurant facility that you have. Do they need to make reservations, or do you see people showing up?
They do. Isn't it funny that little Comfort, Texas has probably two of the best pizza places in Texas, if not beyond.
They're both uniquely different.
Yeah, they are.
But they are both world class.
World class. Yeah. They're only open on Thursday and Friday for dinner.
Well, who is that?
La Calabria.
La Calabria.
La Calabria Pizza.
And that's at Riven Rock Ranch?
It's on the ranch.
Okay.
Yes, sir. And so they're open on Thursdays and Fridays for dinner, and then all day Saturday. And then tomorrow night they're doing steak night. They do that once a month. And then they started gospel brunch. They're doing that once a month. I think it's on first Sunday of every month.
So first Sunday, a gospel brunch. That's the first I've heard of that. So that sounds like an exciting opportunity. If you're local after church, make plans, or if you're a tourist in town, maybe visit one of our churches
have a little church
and then go have brunch. Awesome.
Yeah.
And then the hours. Let's go through that again, because La Calabria.
They're open 4 to 9 for dinner on Thursday and Friday.
And you would recommend reservations?
For dinner, absolutely. If you don't make a reservation for dinner, you might not get in.
And what a disappointment that would be, because you're going to come into a beautiful facility, you're going to see a great restaurant, and it's going to be unfortunate.
Yeah, it's not a constant thing, but I've seen it happen to where they just were booked. Yeah, and they just couldn't fit another person in there.
I just like intentional tourists. I want them to be intentional.
I do too. Well, we have 6 vacation rentals on the ranch too, so people can come and stay, the weekend or during the week.
What brings people to Riven Rock Ranch?
We have 2 venues.
Okay.
So we do weddings and events. So we
Okay.
do some corporate things and anniversaries, birthdays, but we do mostly weddings. So we have 2 venues. One we do up to about 100 people.
Okay.
And then the other venue is usually 100 or above. We do there. And they usually rent all the lodging as well. So right now I have a property manager I work with, and he rents for 4 to 5 months out. So right now he's doing November, December, January, February, and then I hold the rest back because I want to give my brides and grooms first dibs if they book a wedding, because that's kind of part of the allure of being able to stay and everybody relax. And we're not a wedding factory, so we're not doing weddings, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah.
So Ingenhood is wonderful. This is a beautiful venue. So we send business here too sometimes when it's not the right fit.
And I so appreciate that you say that, because part of our early conversation in advance of this one is the business community and really just the people in Comfort are what makes it special. And it's the collaborative spirit. I opened up talking about a competitive pizza place, but you don't mind that because It's not competitive.
No.
Y'all are very different. You support each other.
Yep.
And you want to promote each other. And that's part of the culture of Comfort that I enjoy.
It's very supportive. I mean, they welcomed me from the get-go. Actually, Janine, that owns Ingenhood, it was one of the first people I met when I moved here. And they were having a little dinner down here. It was what are they called? Underground dinner, I think.
Yeah.
And so somebody else had told me about it, and they were sold out. And she called Janine. Janine called me, and she had me sit at her table, and she was just very welcoming and great. So.
Well, and I know Janine in particular just loves another restaurant in town and needs more restaurants in town.
We all do.
But it is a call to, you weren't from Comfort. You've moved in recently, and that could be in Hill Country terms, recently could be like 2 decades. But
Correct.
You're 5 years in, which is not a lot of time to come into a community like this. But your experience is not unique. It was immediately inviting, immediately supportive and collaborative.
Yep.
And I really want people to know that is what, in my opinion, makes Comfort special.
Yes.
Because there's not a city government or just the bureaucracy of everybody's got to get along, here's how the rules.
Right.
It's a little bit, and we talk about in Comfort, the free thinker mentality.
Correct.
So it really is a lot of do what you want within the guidance of what the community will accept.
Well, I think if you do what's right, then that
becomes easier.
It becomes easier.
And the community holds it accountable. When I look down High Street, we're sitting on High Street today, I see a lot of business owners, a lot of community people, a beautiful public library that are doing it right.
Yes.
But they're also still trying to figure out how to do it to its fullest and really attract and tell their story and promote.
Yeah, it's been a tough couple of years for the community.
Yeah.
It's been a really tough couple of years. But, the libraries, I think we have one of the best libraries anywhere.
I think that's why
it's amazing.
That's why NASA
the
partnered
programs
with them.
and it's really a special place. All of Comfort is, and we've had quite a few businesses go out of business. But most of was either we had last year was tough. I mean, we had 60 days of over 100 degrees. Well, people aren't going out shopping in the middle of the day when it's 100 degrees out. They're just not doing that. But now more businesses are coming back. And there's been some new businesses opening and current businesses expanding. And so I really think 2025 is going to be a good year for the community as a whole.
Well, and I appreciate that you mentioned the heat, because I was looking at it last year, and some of the wineries locally were the first to say that to me. And I said, well, that's interesting. But I think we see that in any community where you're really driven by people coming to your town, parking and walking up and down your sidewalk.
Exactly.
And if it's over 100 degrees, 60 days in a row, or pretty much in a row.
Yeah, they're going to the movies. They're not coming here.
Yeah, and then we just had a lot of pressure. I think COVID and coming out of all of that was difficult. And rural communities are more sensitive to that, just because there's only so many customers. And it requires travel, You
Right.
have to engage and connect, and
Yeah.
people have to find you.
Yeah.
How do you at Riven Rock make that visible, make
Mo-
yourselves visible?
Mostly social media,
Okay.
word of mouth.
Word of mouth.
Yeah, we've done a little bit of advertising. I think the first year I was here, we had an ad in the Knot that the previous owner had done, and we've done a little bit of, some additional marketing, but mostly it's word of mouth. I know a lot of people. I was in the corporate world in San Antonio, and I lived there for 35, 30 or 40 years.
Yeah.
So, and I had a pretty high profile job. I was the director of marketing for a multi-million-dollar corporation, telecom company. And so I met a lot of people. We had a board, and so, other companies and all of that. So I mean, when we first started doing this, I would send texts to people, when La Calabria started doing pop-ups, I would send texts to 200 people, saying, come on out.
But that's the hustle of entrepreneurship that I think people lose. It would be easy to pull up the Riven Rock Ranch and say, "Oh, this thing's beautiful. It's built itself. It does." But it was you coming in as a new owner of an already built property and sending text messages to people to say, "Hey, come visit. Come visit."
Yeah.
And it does take that flywheel of.
You have to be proactive.
You got to get so many people out there to visit to start referring, to start word of mouth working.
You mentioned COVID. We actually had a pretty good COVID year. Bought the ranch we closed in June of 2019. COVID hit 7 months later. And they
didn't send you a memo beforehand saying,
they
"Hey,
did not.
Be ready."
No, it was really kind of just, they locked it down. Luckily, we're in Kerr County, which had the fewest cases, reported cases of COVID. Our venues are outside. They're not indoor, so I didn't have the same restrictions as a hotel. And we were new, so I didn't have that many weddings on the books. So we had one that moved to October, and we had one that kind of changed a little bit because of the restriction on the number of people that could gather. But in May of 2020, we did more vacation rental business in that 1 month than we had the previous year before.
And where were they coming from?
Houston, out of state, Dallas, Austin, because they could have their own house.
Yep.
So they weren't worried about getting in an elevator, with a bunch of people, or running into people, or having to wear a mask, with their family members or anything like that. So that really helped. That helped us a lot. That helped us kind of slide through that period. But I know not other businesses were as lucky.
And you use social media, and you have a background in marketing, so social media probably wasn't as big and as intimidating as it can be for some of our business owners out here. It is a lot to understand how to use that new technology.
I don't really understand it, to tell you the truth. I'm
Perfect.
63, so I'm a little bit, I was old school. I was TV, radio, print.
Yeah.
That's what we did back then. There wasn't even social media when I was working.
Yeah.
That wasn't, I don't even think, maybe, what was the precursor to Facebook? Maybe
MySpace.
Maybe was just coming on, and I didn't really do
So
any of that.
how are you making that pivot? Are you finding partners to work with you on social media? Or?
Yes and no. Yes.
Okay.
Mostly yes. Yeah. I probably need to. I've really been very hands-on.
Yeah.
I've always believed that if you are hands-on in any business that you do, you start at the bottom and work your way up, you're going to learn a whole bunch of stuff that's going to help you move forward and meet challenges and that kind of thing. So I've been very hands-on. Just recently, I hired somebody to help me with events. Before that, they have to have a wedding planner if they do a wedding.
Yeah.
But I was there all day from, I was the first one there, I was the last one gone. So that's been good. So now I'm starting to loosen the reins a little bit, and then I'll probably next year I'll probably hire somebody to kind of take over social media. I've just kind of been doing it myself, really.
And that I applaud you doing that. I've been on that journey myself, and it can be intimidating and hard. And bring it up because as we are trying to bring attention to comfort, I look at our retailers, I look at our events, I look at all of that. It's easy to be an island trying to attract, and without some of the standard city resources.
Right.
How does a community like Comfort come together and find collaborative spirit?
I think Singing Water sends us people. Benning Branch sends us. We do the same for them. We have two of the best wineries in the Hill Country here.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool. Fredericksburg's flooded with wineries, but two of the best are right here. And it's just a more intimate. It's not as commercialized. It's not as busy. It's more laid back.
I don't see a lot of bachelor or bachelorette parties coming through Comfort.
No.
I see a lot of people that really appreciate the wine.
Yes, the wine and the atmosphere. It's just much more relaxed here.
Or the actual wedding.
Yes. Well, and we do. They can do everything at the ranch because we only do wedding a week. But this past weekend, Friday night, they had their rehearsal dinner at Singing Water.
Okay.
We've had them where they've gone to Benning Branch on Saturday. So. And we encourage that. They're on our vendor list.
Yeah.
So the Giles Hotel is on our vendor list. So we send a lot of Backup Myers, Comfort, Camp Comfort. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
So we have a vendor list, and we try to do local. I try to shop local.
Mm-hmm.
I try to go to one shop every 2 or 3 months and spend some money.
Yeah.
And help them, just like they've helped us.
What a wonderful practice for a business owner to do in a community like this. And I think of our other communities like Bernie or Kerrville, and there's these great retailers, but I hear it so often that they just don't see local spend.
Really?
They're looking for and really only trying to serve those tourists.
The tourists, yeah.
And I wonder how much could be missed by not attracting locals in there. Here I see more diversity in these businesses, so I have more of a reason to go to this one versus that one,
Right.
which I appreciate. It's not 6 of the same things right next to each other.
Right. All selling the same things. Yeah.
That's a different business conversation.
Yeah.
But I don't see that here in Comfort.
Yeah.
I see very unique experiences.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even if you're antique shopping and you go to America Reclaimed, where you can sit down and have a drink and see some great furniture.
Yeah.
But you're going to find your way to High Street. You're going to find your way to La Calibre. You're going to find all of these businesses if you're here looking around and asking the proprietor, hey, where would you go next?
Right.
You're going to tell them some great places.
Right. Right.
So that's our purpose. And the other part of it, and I mentioned it earlier on weekdays and different timing. Historically, we've seen a big push for Christmas in Comfort, 4th of July. Those are wonderful events. In
Diva Day.
Diva
Girls' Night Out is
Girls'
tonight.
Night Out.
I'm going.
Awesome.
I don't get to go to a lot of stuff.
You got to let go for a little bit and go enjoy yourself.
I know when people see me in town, they're like, what are you doing off the ranch? I'm like, oh, well, I have a day.
You are allowed.
Yeah.
Encouraged.
Yeah.
Almost.
Yeah.
But it is it's the Thursday for dinner. It's the Friday to come see the art galleries when there's not high tourism.
Right.
I just want to encourage people to come out and be a little non-traditional in how you come into this community.
Yeah.
And don't be afraid to ask.
Yeah.
Where would you go next?
Yeah.
Because the community will tell you that.
The great thing about Comfort is we're right in the middle of Bernie, Fredericksburg, and Kerrville.
Yeah.
So we are 30 minutes away from all of them, which somebody told me that's a day's horse ride away. So that's how they kind of built the different towns.
Yep.
Was you went, a day's horse, one day on the horse. That's about as far as you could go. So it's great because it's centrally located and you can kind of hit the other towns as well. So, even if you came for a week, you could, spend a couple of days here, a couple of days there, a couple of days in Fredericksburg, and really kind of get the whole Hill Country experience.
It is a launching point into the Hill Country.
Yeah. And we're right off 10.
Which is really nice.
Right. Bernie is too. Kerrville is. Part of Kerrville is.
Yeah.
And Fredericksburg's a little bit.
But it's the intentionality of somebody coming to Comfort. You're going to come to Comfort for a reason.
Usually it's for a reason.
And you've usually been referred to one of the businesses, one of the venues, one of the wineries, and then you're just going to discover everything else. But when you look at that, What are you looking ahead of in the year? What's coming that your venue or your business is excited to experience and says, hey, this is something that we're really coming together and seeing success as a community on?
Well, I think all of the, we have the Comfort Chamber does, several events throughout the year. Bending Branch does a few events. Singing Water does a few events. We do a few events. We're probably going to add some more next year. But I think 2025 is going to be a really good year.
Yeah.
For Comfort as a whole. But for me personally, the reason I bought the ranch was I want to help girls in crisis pregnancy.
Oh, wow.
So next year, ministry launches. We're a little behind. We had COVID and Snowmageddon and Freeze-mageddon and 2 droughts. And so, we're a little bit behind on all of that. But we'll actually have girls come and live at the ranch, and we'll hook them up with health services and all of that stuff, education if that's something that they need. But then we're going to teach them a job or a skill on the ranch.
That's incredible.
So they'll have some, discernible skill that they can take and hopefully change their lives. Whether they keep their babies or not is totally up to them, whether they put them for adoption or keep them. But we wanted to try to give hope, and that's what I wanted to call the ranch, was Hope Ranch.
Yeah. But
it's a doomsday ranch in West Texas, so I couldn't have that name.
Yeah.
So, and Riven Rock had such a presence in the community and beyond.
Yeah.
I have friends in San Antonio that I've been friends with for 40 years that used to come to Terrace Grill for dinner.
Yeah.
So it had such a presence that I just felt like I was supposed to keep the name and keep it all, keep it going.
But I appreciate, so your original intent for the ranch was this ministry.
Yes.
And you've had to make the entrepreneurial pivot of let's figure out how to operationalize and make it run.
Right.
And now you're adding that back in, and you had the headwinds, and I'll give you all of that.
Well, the plan was always to have all the operations up and running that could support the ministry.
Okay.
So that I didn't have to hunt money.
Yeah.
That's not my gift. I have lots of gifts. Hunting money is not one of them. I would much rather just write a check, and I have every month. But so I was hoping that the businesses would support the ministry. So not that people aren't going to donate and help and volunteer and and do all of that good stuff. They will. Sorry about that. Probably messed that up.
You're fine.
But that was really the goal. And then the stables opened, then the stables closed for a year. They reopened last year, and so we're in a good position now for 2025 to kind of launch everything.
Well,
kind of move forward.
And what you're talking about, the ministry could also be supported by businesses hiring those women and giving them opportunities once they have the trades and once they have the skills.
Right.
And what a gift to somebody that is looking for that hope and can find it in purpose and creation, right? Creating an opportunity for themselves, creating financial independence, which is a big task. We've talked about the people that make Comfort unique. You've been here about 5 years. What really surprised you when you moved in as a business owner, making a big investment in the community? What surprised you to find?
I don't know if anything surprised me, really. Who would have thought a girl from Brooklyn, New York would buy a ranch in Texas? That was surprising.
That's a story in itself, I'm sure.
Yes, that's a story in itself. And, I think, just how welcoming and how supportive everybody would be. I don't really look for people to not be those things, but they were extraordinarily supportive and welcoming, I think,
From New York, you moved here in your teenage years, let's say, into San Antonio. And did you ever envision a Texas ranch?
No.
Do you have any idea what that looked like?
No. First of all, I thought, we came here in the summer of 76 and when we got here for vacation.
So Hades is where you just moved?
Yes. So we came on vacation in the summer. And when we got here, they said we weren't going back. But I convinced my parents that was not fair. We didn't get to say goodbye to anybody. I think they were afraid I might run away. Yeah. And they probably weren't wrong. But we went back for 6 months and then we moved in December of 76. I just never, I thought I was going to have to ride a horse to school, and, there would be the tumbleweeds, and, I thought I was moving to a Texas town, and there'd be a saloon or whatever. But it wasn't like that, Now it still was, compared to New York, what some people might call podunk.
Yeah.
San Antonio wasn't quite podunk, but it was still small. I mean, I was used to Newark and Kennedy airports, and San Antonio International Airport was a garage with 2 palm trees.
It looked like a general aviation airport.
It was pretty. It was culture shock. It really was. And it took me about 1.5 years. And then I really started to love it here. And then I think a couple of trips back to New York before Rudy Giuliani got a hold of New York and straightened it out a little bit, made me realize how lucky I was to be here, because it was pretty bad. But no, not buying a ranch. I always thought I would be in the corporate world, always. And I was for a great many years. And then that was during the telecom when everybody was buying everybody. And so I ended up retiring, and then I kind of went into full-time volunteering. So I was on the board of a few companies, and did a lot of stuff at my church. I was a member of Community Bible Church, which was a big, huge church in San Antonio, and just never thought of it. And then actually a friend of mine and I started talking. The idea I had for the ranch was actually an idea I had for a Community Bible Church, which they're actually doing now, but that's a whole nother story. But a few years after it started to kind of gel, I realized, no, that idea wasn't for them, it was for me.
Yeah.
And so I started looking for property, and actually came out here to look at the ranch, not with the intent of purchasing the ranch, just to get ideas of what I wanted to do. And as soon as I pulled through the gates, I knew it was it.
It's amazing how that happens. It overwhelms you.
It was very overwhelming. Yeah. And I was like a dog with a bone. I tried to buy it from the owner at that point, and somebody bought it out from under me, and they had it for a year, and then I bought it from them. So it was quite the journey.
Sounds like it.
But I was a dog with a bone. I was not letting it go.
Well, I so appreciate that you've shared your story with us today, and the work that you're doing, and I'm excited about the ministry aspect of what is to come. But Riven Rock Ranch is an important piece of comfort, and culturally, I think it provides a venue that supports everything around it, just like those support you in your business. And that is really what we want to highlight, what I want to call out for people that are looking for their next road trip and saying, where should I go?
Yeah. It's a very special place, Riven Rock Ranch. And Chris Havens is the one that developed it. He is an amazing, I literally thank God for him every day. But it's just a beautiful place. And he was very meticulous about developing it. And we have some of the best views in the hill country. I mean, it's just astounding, the views when you come out there. La Calabria has great views, and the sunsets every night. And I think the first year I was there, I took sunset pictures. I had like 2,000 pictures of the sun. I was like, okay, gotta let this go now. But it's just really, it's a special place. You can feel it when you get there. You really do.
And that's what all you could hope for when you go on a trip and land somewhere, is you pull through the gate and you feel that relax.
It's like a sanctuary.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Karen Ingram, thank you for making the investment here and being a part of this community and really looking forward with optimism. My pleasure. Yeah, it's a blessing for me. I feel like I'm a steward of this incredible gift. And so we'll see. Well, we appreciate the way you're building Texas, and thank you for spending time with us today. My pleasure. Thank you for having me. Perfect. Thank you to all of our sponsors who have helped feature Comfort Texas on the Building Texas Show. Please visit comfort.buildingtexasshow.com to learn more about these sponsors, Comfort Texas, and to plan your next road trip into the Texas Hill Country. To learn more, visit our website, buildingtexasshow.com. You can also connect with us on Facebook at Building Texas.